Hello students, welcome back to our English class. This is chapter 2, the tsunami. Chapter 2, the tsunami. The word tsunami is a Japanese word. The meaning of the word tsunami is tsu means harbor and nami means wave. Tsu means harbor or port and nami means a wave. Now, in the beginning, we will learn what tsunami is and then we'll go on to the lesson. What is tsunami? Tsunamis are giant waves caused by earthquakes or volcanic eruption under the sea. Out in the depths of the ocean, tsunami waves do not dramatically increase in height, but as the waves travel inland, they build up to higher and higher heights as the depth of the ocean decreases. So, tsunamis are giant waves caused either by earthquakes or volcanic eruptions under the sea. And this height of the wave does not increase when it is in the ocean, but as in when the wave moves towards the land, the height of the wave increases. The speed of tsunami waves depends on the ocean depths rather than the distance from the source of the wave. Tsunami waves may travel as fast as jet planes over deep waters, only slowing down when reaching shallow waters. So the speed of the tsunami wave can be compared to the speed of jet planes. So what is basically tsunamis? Tsunamis are giant waves caused by earthquakes or volcanic eruptions under the sea. So the volcanic eruptions or the earthquakes that occur under the sea causes the tsunami. Now we'll just see the history of the tsunamis that have happened. I've just taken the first one and the recently that has happened. According to the National Geophysical Data Center, the first recorded tsunami occurred off the coast of Syria over 4,000 years ago, when the island volcano of Krakatoa, Indonesia exploded in 1883. Tsunami swept as far as the English Channel. So the first ever recorded tsunami occurred at the coast of Syria, that is around 4,000 years ago. And actually the volcanic eruption occurred in Indonesia, but it swept as far as the English Channel. And the recent one was a tsunami struck Java and Sumatra starting at 9:30 p.m. and resulting in more than 300 deaths. That was in the June 2018. So the first and the recent one I have given. Now, even India experienced a tsunami hit. When was it? The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami occurred at 7:58 in local time on 26 December with an epicenter of the west coast of northern Sumatra, Indonesia. So, this is connected to the lesson which you are going to learn now. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. There was an earthquake in the Indian Ocean, and the tsunami that occurred is also known as Boxing Day tsunami. It occurred at 7:58 on 26 December, and the epic center or the center of that earthquake was off the west coast of northern Sumatra, Indonesia. So the next slide is the pictures showing the destructions caused by the tsunami. And the next slide is a picture showing how the wind waves will come up and hit the, or the tsunami waves come and hit the land. Okay, how it flows and how this height is increasing as it comes to the land. I hope you all understood what is tsunami, when was the first tsunami recorded, and the recent one when it occurred, and which was the one which hit Indian Ocean. All these things we have learned now. Now shall we move on to the lesson? The tsunami. Before you read, now this page has some questions given for you. Now read the sentence below. Rewrite the incorrect ones after correcting the mistake. Now these six sentences are related to the map given to the left side of the page. Few sentences might be correct, few might be wrong. So you have to correct it. The first one, Katachal is an island. Now if you look at the map, you can find it is an island. So that was a correct one. It is a part of the Andaman group of islands. So when you see on the left hand side of the page, there are two island groups. That's Andaman, and the below one is a Nicobar. So where do you find Katachal? Katachal is in the Nicobar group of islands. Third one, Nancowry is an island in the Nicobar group. Nancowry is an island in the Nicobar group. It is true. Katachal and Nancowry are more than 100 miles apart. It is wrong. It is less than 100 miles apart. It is not more than 100 miles apart. It is less than 100 miles apart. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are to the west of India. Is it true or false? Now when you look at the Indian map and you see where Andaman and Nicobar Islands are, you will understand where the islands are located. Is it to the west or to the east? It is not to the west, it is to the east of India. The Nicobar Islands are to the north of the Andaman Islands. The Nicobar Islands are to the north of the Andaman Islands. It is false. It is to the south of the Andaman Islands. Okay. So I just gave you the answers ahead. So when you come to the lesson and you as and when we go, we will understand how people overcame the tsunami that occurred on 26 December 2004. This lesson is basically, it's not a story. It's few people who overcame that. How they survived, and how some of their courageous rescued other people. Shall we start with the lesson? Now again, for an introduction, a tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. Now basically what I told you about in the second slide. What is tsunami? It is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. Here are some stories of courage and survival. Did animals sense that a tsunami was coming? Some stories suggest that they did. So, a tsunami struck the Indian coast on December 26, 2004. Basically, it hit the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and also the Tamil Nadu coast. The lesson is all about stories about courage and survival of few of the people who encountered the tsunami. The picture shows, the aftermath of the tsunami, how the houses were washed away. These stories are from the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. These stories are all from the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. Archipelago means a group of many islands and the surrounding sea. So these stories, the stories in that lesson, are from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Katachal. His wife woke him up at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. Ignatius carefully took his television set off its table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Then the family rushed out of the house. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. In the chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father and mother's brother and rushed in the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. So, the first incident or the first story is about a, a manager of a cooperative society. He was a manager of a cooperative society in Katachal, and his wife woke him up at 6 a.m. on 26th December because she felt an earthquake. What did Ignatius do? He carefully took the television set off his table and put it on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Then the family rushed out of the house. As usually, the warning given, when there's an earthquake, you have to come out of your house and stand. They all rushed out of the house. When the tremors, what is a tremor? A slight shake. Earth tremors, the shaking caused during an earthquake. The earth shakes during an earthquake. That is a tremor. When the tremor stopped, they saw the sea rising. When the earthquake stopped, they saw the sea rising and it's coming to the land. In the chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father and mother's brother. So there was chaos, complete confusion and disorder. Everybody was running here and then because they saw the sea just rising up and coming towards the land. And what did two of his children do? They caught hold of their mother's father, their grandfather, and also the uncle, mother's brother, and rushed to the opposite direction. They did not run towards the sea, they ran the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. So, his wife died. His two of his children who ran away from there, they also escaped. Who went with him, they escaped. The next one is about a policeman. Sanjeev was a policeman serving in the Katachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. So where is Katachal? It is in the Nicobar group of islands. And Sanjeev was a policeman. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they were both swept away. So the next one is about Sanjeev. He was a policeman in the serving in the Katachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. He could save his wife and his baby daughter from the waves. But then what happened? Suddenly he heard the cry from the wife of John. John was a guest house cook. And when he heard the cries, he jumped into the water to save her. But what happened? Even Sanjeev and the lady, John's wife, both were swept away into the sea. Now, the third experience. 13-year-old Meghna was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. 11 times she saw relief helicopters overhead, but they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Now, the next one is 13-year-old Meghna was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. But what happened? She spent 2 days floating in the sea. Just imagine a 13-year-old girl or a child floating in the sea for 2 days holding to a wooden door. She saw the relief helicopters. Relief helicopters are helicopters bringing help to the people during flood times. But they did not see her. She saw them, but the relief helicopter people, they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. The next one, Almas Javed was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother, Rahila's home, was in Nankori Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. Now, the next one is Almas Javed was 10 years old and she was a student of Carmel Convent School in Port Blair. And her father had a petrol pump there. She had gone to her mother's house in Nankori Island to celebrate Christmas. When the Termers came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Alma's father saw the sea water recede. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He he woke everyone up and tried to push them to a safer place. As they ran, grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the fast giant wave that swept both of them away. Now, Almas Javed, her father, all had gone to her mother's place to celebrate Christmas in Nankori Island. And in the early morning, as the family was sleeping, the tremor or the earthquake occurred, and Alma's father saw the sea water recede. Recede means move back from where it was. See, when you go to the seashore, you can see sometimes the sea water going back to the sea, and and at times it comes towards the seashore. And this time he saw the sea water residing so much into the sea, or the water going into the sea so much, and he knew something was going to happen. He understood that the water would come up rushing back with a great force. So when it comes back the next time, it would come with a great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. So he knew some danger was coming up. So he woke everyone up in that house and tried to rush them to a safer place. But what happened? As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. So her grandfather, as they were all running, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. The old man fell down. Her father, Almas Javed's father, went and picked him up. But what happened? By the time the first giant wave came and took both of them away. Alma's mother and aunts stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree and they too were washed away. So just imagine the condition of the people living there, or that the feeling that they were all having in their mind, seeing their loved ones going into the sea, pulled by the sea, into the water. uh, the first, the grandfather and the father was taken away by the giant wave. Now next is Alma's mother and their aunts stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree. They were clinging to a coconut tree, leaves of a coconut tree. But what happened? The wave came and uprooted the tree, took the tree also away, and they were all washed away into the sea. Alma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it. Then she fainted. When she woke up, she was in the she was in a hospital in Camerota. From there she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl does not want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized. Now, Almas was watching all this, her father and her grandfather being taken away by the giant wave, and also her mother and aunts being taken away by the giant wave. So, what what would have been the feeling in that child's mind, the 10-year-old child's mind? All her loved ones are dead, and she's alone in the hospital. She saw a log of wood float. Alma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed on it and then she fainted. And when she woke up, she was in a hospital in Camerota. And then from there, she was brought back to Port Blair. But that little girl did not want to talk to anyone about the incident because she was still traumatized. Traumatized means greatly shocked and distressed. She was in great shock and deep pain, seeing all her loved ones, uh, you know, die in front of her eyes. So now just go back to that incidents. The first one was Ignatius. He was the manager of the cooperative society. He tried to save his family, but then uh, he could only save two or three of his children, while all the others uh, died in the turmoil. Next was Sanjeev. He could save his wife and child, but when he heard the cry of another person, he jumped into the water to save the other rescue the other person, but both of them were swept away by the giant wave. The third incident was about the 13-year-old Meghna. She was swept along by the huge wave along with 77 other people and with her parents. She floated on in the sea for 2 days, and she saw the helicopters or the relief helicopters many times, but they did not see her. And she was brought to the shore by a wave. She was sucked back into the shore by a wave, and then was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Now, the last incident, what we discussed, much deeper. Almas Javed, a 10-year-old girl, she had gone to her mother's home in Nankori Island to celebrate Christmas, and that was when the turmoil occurred. And, the whole family was swept away into the sea by the tsunami, and she was only saved, and she was in a deep shock and distress, and she didn't want to talk to anyone. Now, coming to the comprehension check, it's say whether the following are true or false. So, the first one, Ignatius lost his wife, two children, his father-in-law and his brother-in-law in the tsunami. True or false? Ignatius lost his wife, two children, his father-in-law and his brother-in-law. It's given in page 25. You can find the answer there. Sanjeev made it to safety after the tsunami. Did Sanjeev escape the tsunami, or was he saved? Meghna was saved by a relief helicopter. Yes or no? You know the answer for that. Alma's sorry. Alma's father realized that a tsunami was going to hit the island. Yes, he understood that something was coming up, isn't it? Because the water was receding, he understood some problem was arising. So he knew there was a tsunami coming up. Her mother and aunts were washed away with the tree that they were holding on to. Yes or no? So these are simple, comprehension checks which you can do by yourself. Anyway, I've discussed it with you. Now that is the first part of this lesson, the tsunami. Uh, if you you can write the meanings and the comprehension check in your notebooks. Thank you.